Hello everyone, this is Minister William, or Reverend Will if you wish, and this is the sermon for January 9th, 2022. And as always, we will start with a moment of silence for meditation, prayer, or what have you. Alright, thank you. As you probably noticed when you started watching the sermon, that I don't have the header edited in. This video will be unedited and uploaded directly to YouTube this week. But editing videos are not going to be gone for good. It's just I just didn't have time this week, but yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Let's get on. This week's sermon is called Mrs. Thompson, a touching story about a teacher, and it is from alltimeshortstories.com. As she stood in front of her 5th grade class on the very first day of school, she told the children an untruth. Like most teachers, she looked at her students and said that she loved them all the same. However, that was impossible, because there in the front row, slumped in his seat, was a little boy named Tommy Stoddard. Mrs. Thompson had watched Teddy the year before and noticed that he did not play well with the other children, that his clothes were messy, and he constantly needed a bath. In addition, Teddy could be unpleasant. It got to the point where Mrs. Thompson would actually take delight in marking his papers with bold red pen, making bold X's, and then putting a big F on top of his papers. At the school where Mrs. Thompson taught, she was required to review each child's past records, and she put Teddy's off until last. However, when she reviewed his file, she was in for a surprise. Teddy's first grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is a bright child with a ready laugh. He does his work neatly and has good manners. He is a joy to be around." His second grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is an excellent student, well liked by his classmates, but he is troubled because his mother is terminally ill and life at home must be a struggle." His third grade teacher wrote, "His mother's death had been hard on him. He tries to do his best, but his father doesn't show much interest, and his home life will soon affect him if steps are not taken." Teddy's fourth grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is withdrawn and doesn't show much interest in school. He doesn't have many friends, and he sometimes sleeps in class." By now, Mrs. Thompson realized the problem, and she was ashamed of herself. She felt even worse when her students brought her Christmas presents, wrapped in beautiful ribbons, and brought paper, and bright paper, except for Teddy's. His present was clumsily wrapped in the heavy brown paper that he got from the grocery bag. Mrs. Thompson took pains to open it in the middle of the other presents. Some of the children started to laugh when she found a rhinestone bracelet with some of the stones missing and a bottle of what was 1/4 full of perfume. But she stifled the children's laughter when she exclaimed how pretty the bracelet was, putting it on and dabbing some of the perfume on her wrist. Teddy startled, whatever, stayed after class that day just long enough to say, "Mrs. Thompson, today you smell just like my mom used to." After the children left, she cried for at least an hour. On the very on that very day, she quit teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic. Instead, she began to teach children. Mrs. Thompson paid particular attention to Teddy. As she worked with him, his mind seemed to come alive. The more she encouraged him, the faster he responded. By the end of the year, Teddy had become one of the smartest children in the class, and despite her lie that she would love all her children the same, Teddy became one of her teacher's pets. A year later, she found a note under her door from Teddy telling her that she was the best teacher he had ever had in his whole life. 6 years went by before she got another note from Teddy, when he wrote that he had finished high school, third in his class, and she was still the best teacher he had ever had in life. 4 years after that, she got another letter, saying that while things have been tough at times, he stayed in school and stuck with it and would soon graduate from college with the highest of honors. He assured Mrs. Thompson that she was still the best and favorite teacher he had had in his whole life. And 4 years passed, and yet another letter came. This time, he explained that he had gotten his bachelor degree and decided to go a little further. The letter explained that she was still his best and favorite teacher he ever had. But now, his name was a little longer. The letter was signed Theodore F. Stoddard, M.D. The story does not end there. You see, there was yet another letter that spring. Teddy had said that he had met this girl and was going to be married. He explained that his father had died a couple of years ago, and he was wondering if Mrs. Thompson might agree to sit at the wedding in the place that was usually reserved for the mother of the groom. Of course, Mrs. Thompson did. And guess what? She wore that bracelet, the one with the several missing rhinestones. Moreover, she made sure she was wearing the perfume that Teddy remembered his mother wearing on their last Christmas together. They hugged each other, and Dr. Stoddard whispered in Mrs. Thompson's ear, "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson, for believing in me. Thank you so much for making me feel important and showing me that I could make a difference." Mrs. Thompson, with tears in her eyes, whispered back. She said, "Teddy, you have it all wrong. You were the one who taught me that I could make a difference. I didn't know how to teach until I met you." Note: this story by Elizabeth Silence Ballard was originally published in Home Life magazine in 1976 and became one of the most requested stories in the magazine's history. Ever since then, several versions of this story have circulated around the internet. Moral of the story: a good teacher can inspire hope, ignite the imagination, and instill a love of learning. Brad Henry. This story is a lot like another one that I read some time ago, Teacher's Hand, but I found it very touching, and it connected with me. In second grade, I had a horrible teacher. By that time, I was 50% deaf, and the teacher seemed to take great delight in figuring that I was a bad kid. She isolated me from the rest of the class, and when I got my hearing fixed, she still refused to put me back with the rest of the class. I had thoughts of quitting school once I left elementary school. Luckily, by the fourth grade, I had a good teacher, and she was, up to that point, she was the best teacher I had. She instilled the love of school, and seems like I never wanted to stay with it. At every school I went to, I had a teacher that inspired me, made me love school, and had me keep at it. I owe these teachers a lot. I still think of all of them. The teacher like that in high school is still kind of a part of my life. He's on my Facebook friends. The other two, I hope, are doing well. But I'm sure we all, or at least most of us, have a story of a teacher who inspired them and had them keep going. Or someone like a teacher that had that. If any of you have any stories like this of a teacher or someone of the light that inspired you in life, please comment below this video and tell your story. But as all we have time for this week, just remember, everyone, when we all come together, the possibilities are endless. And I'll see you next week.